AFTV, Dan, off to a winning start, 2-0. What was it for you? It was all about the result, or was you happy with the performance? What did you make of it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to big up the fans because the tribute to Kevin Campbell was fantastic, man. Honestly.
Super Kev!
Yeah, it was brilliant.
It was, and that was, for me, really special. I didn't know if it was going to be a minute silence or a minute applause, and I was so happy that we were singing a song because he deserves it, man. Absolutely superb. Really, really good tribute. As for the game, I thought we were in control for the majority of it. Around about the 30th minute, was it? 35th minute, David Raya pulls out a world-class save. And that, for me, keeps us in the game because Wolves would have got back into it for me. I felt that we did control the game, though. A couple of players in particular I thought actually deserved a mention. And not a lot of people thought that there was anybody in particular that shone, but I think Martin Ødegaard today just seems to keep the ball flowing, man. He really does. And the work rate, the leadership.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, man, it's scary. You know, at one stage, he actually went flying in with a tackle on the goalkeeper. I just think this guy is absolutely mad, man. But really, really impressed with him. Saka and Havertz today, I thought actually did all right. I know a lot of people were saying that Saka didn't really do much and wasn't that effective until he scored, but actually I thought Saka was okay to be fair. Thought he was one of the players going forward that's actually trying to make something happen and look a little bit threatening. On the other side, I can't say the same thing about Martinelli, man, and one of my favourite players, Martinelli, I've got to say it, but it's not quite working for him at the moment, Rob, and something I'd really like us to see this season is try and sort out our left-hand side.
Well, if Marino comes in,
Yeah.
do you think that's going to help him a lot? Because there has been the observations made that because Zinchenko inverts so much, you know, he doesn't have, like, on the other wing, you know what I mean, he seems like a natural right winger, right back with Ben White, you know, linking up with, you know, Saka, but you don't really see that on there, so maybe Marino might help him out.
Well, listen, I'm not just looking at the Marino side, I'm also looking at two players that are already at the club that I think can probably have an impact to potentially help that left-hand side, and that's Calafiori and Timber. Because we saw today Timber come on, I thought he looked really good, by the way, when he came on at left-back. And I don't like mine Zinchenko in these sort of games offensively, but defensively, I don't want him starting at Villa Park. Because I can see it already, it's going to be a madness. It's going to struggle defensively, right? So for me, I think the left-hand side needs to be improved at Arsenal, and I've said this for a while. And if Calafiori or Timber are going to be coming in at the left-hand side, you've got Mikel Merino on that left-hand side to play in that left 8 to allow Rice to drop back in the 6. Because as much as I like Partey in the 6, we all know he ain't going to make 40 games this season, right? So for me, I think that might allow Martinelli to flourish a bit. I'm really interested to see what happens when the signing of Marino does get done, which I believe it will potentially this weekend, and then we get Calafiori and Timber on top of that. I think our left-hand side will look very, very different, because you're right, the right-hand side, everybody knows it's Saliba and White, everybody knows it's Ødegaard and Saka. They've been gelling, their telepathy is there, the work rate's there, but the understanding of each other's there. Last season, I'm not making excuses for Martinelli because his performance he's got to look at, right? But for me, when you're playing Kai Havertz in the 8, then it changes to Rice, then it changes to Vieira, then it changes to Smith-Rowe, then it changes to Trossard. You can't quite get a balance there with Martinelli. And then behind him, he's got Zinchenko, then Timber, who starts and gets injured, then it's Tomiyasu, then it's another left-back in Kiwior. All of a sudden, it's changing all around him. So I don't like to make excuses for him, because I actually believe he does need to look at his performance, right? And he needs to raise it. But for me, I really am interested to see what the signing of Marino does and the introduction of Calafiori or Timber at left-back, what that does to Martinelli's game. Because I think for me, we've got a brilliant player there. We just got to unleash him again, man.
Yeah, and how are you feeling for this season? Can we go all the way and win it?
Yeah, we can, but we've got to do a little bit more for me in the transfer window. I actually believe Manchester City also need to, but I know for a fact that they're going to. They're not going to leave
they've got a lot of money now after selling Alvarez.
So they're going to probably bring in an attacker and a midfielder, and I think Arsenal need to do the same. Looks like Marino's going to be that midfielder. Who's the attacker going to be at Arsenal? Is it going to be a striker?
Who do you want?
I want Victor Gyokeres, I can't lie. I want Victor Gyokeres. I feel like all round he's got what we need as a number 9. I look at him, I don't watch the Portuguese league. I know a lot of people will say, yeah, look at Darwin Núñez. I've seen him enough to know he's better than Darwin Núñez in front of goal, right? So he's a better finisher than him, 58 GA in 50 games last season. That's phenomenal, right? Coventry, he's got England experience. I know it's the Championship. People will laugh and say, do you know what, Coventry, you can't really compare him at Coventry to England. What that does is it toughens you up. It's a competitive league, and he's gone and delivered in another league. Let's take a risk. Otherwise, you just keep Eddie Nketiah. I know Belgium wants to do that. I don't, right? So for me, I don't want to do that, right? Big up to Eddie and all that, but Eddie clearly wants to leave. Reece Nelson clearly wants to leave. We can't get rid of Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah and just go, we got Nwaneri. We've got to do better than that for me. So we have to bring somebody in. Has to be an attacker. Now there's two ways we can do that. We can go and get somebody like a Leroy Sané or a winger, or we can go and get a forward. And I think if Jesus, in my opinion, who I don't see really as much just as a number 9, he can cover for Saka on the right-hand side. We go and get somebody like Victor Gyokeres, Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney, one of those guys, in my opinion, that can then get us across the line. Because I know that scoring goals wasn't an issue. 91 goals last season, phenomenal. But there were moments and there was games, and we can pick them out. West Ham at home when we lost here, Liverpool at home when we lost here, Villa at home when we lost here. We had chances, we didn't have a killer, and we ended up, in my opinion, losing the league because of those games there. So we get another number 9 in, that's going to be a killer in the box, and I think Arsenal can go all the way, and I think it's going to be really tight. One thing I will say lastly, take the domestic cup seriously this year, please. Go in all 4 competitions, because if you throw your eggs in one basket of the league, we know what happens. You don't win it, you end up trophyless. And there'll be horrible questions that has to be answered that you and Yardman will get into. I'm sure another round will come on, boxing gloves will come on again, now, do you know what I'm saying? But for me, I think that I don't want to be talking about that yet. I want to be looking at how we can go today. Great win, sun shining, we're all happy. Go get that forward and we got a great chance, man.